Go on to our second round. It's called Power Play, where I fire, as I said, a volley of questions. If I may start with Dr. Raghavan and Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan. Dr. Lalita Balakrishnan, to you first. Do you believe that college, Ritesh Nataraj spoke about students being scared, about victims being scared. Do you also agree that many principals and wardens are also scared to complain, fearing the political backing or whatever, the influence of the perpetrators, or they are indifferent, or they are too lazy, or they are so caught up with their academic politics that they don't really care? Because we have colleges where principals enforce archaic rules like boys and girls are not allowed to talk to each other. They enforce dress codes, no jeans on the campus. They can't enforce zero tolerance of ragging.
I think it's a little bit of everything that you spoke about. There is fear of, say, what happens to the institution or to the principal tomorrow if a complaint is filed. And how I would look at it is, why only take charge of an offense after it occurs? Why don't we create awareness about how such a crime actually perpetrates? What we do in our college is we have some counseling sessions. We call it the ABC of entering college, acquainting with the beginning of college. So there we sort of bring about a relationship where there is no need for them to have these unscrupulous
so there are
practices.
Principals who are proactive like your college, point taken.
Yes.
Dr. Raghavan, sir, as per the Supreme Court directive, how many colleges actually register FIRs whenever a case of ragging is reported?
Not every instance of ragging yields itself to an FIR. It has to be tackled by the college. The college has to be proactive. If a parent complains that his son or daughter has been ragged, it is the management to intervene and ensure that action is taken against the aggressors. And if the college does not take action against the perpetrator of ragging, or if the parent is not satisfied, even where action is taken, the parent is not satisfied that the action is sufficiently deterrent, he or she, the parent, we assisted in going to the police station to lodge a complaint.
This whole thing of complaints versus compromise.
Yeah.
Many colleges, would you agree, fear that their reputation would be damaged and therefore they sweep it under the carpet?
I went to school in US a couple of years. Every university will have to have a website, ensure. Website should record instances of ragging that have been reported to the management. If they don't do it, they will invite penal action. So when a student wants to choose his university or a college, he should know how many cases of ragging have taken place, how many crimes have taken place within the campus. So things like that, information should be straight away
Probably
on the
the
website.
prospectus also of the institution. District collectors are supposed to actually head the committees in districts, especially when there are government colleges. How many district collectors do you think are aware of the provisions?
Collectors may know. It's one of those innumerable circulars they get from the government. What they do, the UGC writes the colleges and HRD ministry writes the state government. State government passes it to the education department. Education department sends circulars to all the colleges.
The victims, either students or parents, are scared to complain, even if they've been ragged very badly, because they face intimidation. And college authorities have not safeguarded the lives of students. Even hostel wardens are not there around. Of course, you can't give Z plus security to students, but what have we come to today, that we need security for students from their fellow students?
Yeah. Like whistleblowers in corruption, we have had shamefully in this country so many whistleblowers against corruption, they have been done away with. Same thing apart here. I am not surprised that there is this kind of a fear complex in colleges, because ultimately who are these characters who do ragging? I'm not, of course, if I draw a distinction between bad ragging and mild ragging, like there can't be, I mean, if I can say good Taliban or bad Taliban. And Taliban every way it's bad. That's so same way, there are some virulent raggers, and they couldn't care two hoots, and so people are afraid of lodging a complaint. And this fear complex is there, like in terms of corruption. This can wither away only in course of time. It can't happen every day.
All right.
Depends on the police.
Ma'am, there's a misconception that it happens mainly in big cities, but actually the truth is that it happens in these faraway towns where, in fact, away from the media glare, and also where the nearest police station is miles away.
Yeah, I think that is true, and maybe the awareness that the freshers in such institutes have is also very much less. And they get carried away by whatever is shown on media. Sir had a very important point that media is highlighting the events after they happen. But there are even movies where all the heroes are shown as
glorify eve teasing, glorify ragging, these films.
All right, question number 7 to you, ma'am. Is it enough to punish the perpetrators of the crime, because the perpetrators will eventually pass out of college, but the principals will remain? So do you think it's necessary to punish principals like you also in case you're looked the other way and haul you up for abetment?
Yes, there should be there's something called Dand Niti, where only punishment really works.
These campus committees, do they exist only on paper?
At least this year it has been, we have to put it in the calendar on the website, and photo of that complaint box has to be sent to the university. The university is also monitoring the activities of the colleges online as well as they come and do it.
To Dr. Raghavan, sir, is your committee aware that there are social networking sites which actually teach people how to rag? And it's become like an organized crime that students today prepare well in advance to rag with various new methods.
I know anti-ragging websites, but this is a revelation to me that there are certain websites which promote ragging. Definitely, the revelation, we will tackle it in our next meeting.
Okay, also since you're into IT security also, it's something. Final question to you, ma'am, question number 10. Are you aware that there's a code of conduct for freshers, even in your own college, even in city colleges, that students, the freshers, are supposed to walk in a line, they're supposed to look down, look at that third button in fact, they're not supposed to wear belts, they are not supposed to carry anything in their pockets. If they are being ragged and somebody comes, either the warden or the principal passes by and asks them if they are being ragged, they're supposed to say they are just being introduced to their seniors. They're supposed to answer everything with yes. They're not supposed to give any negative answers. This is something that I've gleaned from various colleges over the last several weeks. Are you aware that there's such a code in your college, ma'am?
Yeah, we don't have that in MOP, and I'm very sure about that as well.
There's no such code of conduct
There's no such code at all.
Time now to grill.
Sanjay, sorry for speaking out of turn. There's one actually regulation or one guideline which the Supreme Court issued, and we endorsed it, and we have passed it on to every college, every university which issues application forms. There, when they fill the application form, the parent has to give an undertaking that his ward who joins the college or university will not indulge in ragging, and that if they did, they are liable to be. So they have to give an undertaking.
Team 2, to Nitesh, to you first. Would you agree that a lot has gone into curbing this menace of ragging, and that today those notorious wild freshers parties have actually been toned down?
I hardly see any freshers party actually in many of my colleges and the colleges I've seen till date.
All right. Question number 2 to Ramya. The physical form of ragging, many believe, has come down. It's more to do with banter. So, and physical forms of ragging are one-off incidents which the media reports, which others probably feel is being hyped.
Just as Dr. Raghavan said, I have to agree that there is no good ragging, bad ragging. Just as there cannot be good terrorism and bad terrorism. Ragging per se has to be condemned as a social issue, because as late as in 2009, Aman Kachru was beaten up. He suffered a brain hemorrhage, which then of which he died later. So I don't think that
It happened in a medical college.
It can happen in a medical college.
All right. Question number 3 to you, Nitesh. What can authorities do to curb ragging when people say it's to get to know someone, but then invariably you find that those who indulge in ragging are actually old school seniors actually. They already know you in school, they come to college, they believe they have a license to rag.
See, yeah, point is first that, you know, all these students, they come and say that, you know, we want to get to know you well and things like that. But important statistic is that 26% of ragging cases are all sexual. So under the wheel of ragging, various other assaults, criminal assaults as well as sexual assaults are being carried out on the students. Cases of a Kerala girl who was gang raped by her seniors after her examination. So under the wheel of ragging, to try to get to know your students, your juniors, do not exploit them, because when you call a particular student to you, he will fear, he or she will fear the fact that, okay, my senior is calling me, I have to go. But if you are going to make use of that opportunity and then try and do something which is totally irrelevant, then
perhaps you need something like piercing the corporate veil here as well. Ramya, to you, do you think the media should be more vigilant and also more sensitive in reporting cases of ragging? Because the other side has clearly said that sometimes the media tends to glorify incidents of ragging out on the first page, and people think they become heroes if their names come in the paper by default.
Yeah, but true. The media itself is a huge concept. It's the television media, it's cinemas, it's films, it's now radio, it's FM, and it's the newspapers.
Speaking like a college principal, you're washing your hands off. You're passing the buck.
No, I'm not. But I agree that newspapers can also play a significant role, just as channels like you are doing now. Newspapers can play a very significant role in terms of running campaigns against ragging in their own columns. You can have dedicated, at least during the period, you can have dedicated columns which talk about the problems of ragging, which give students an opportunity also as a feedback measure.
Also to bust those networking sites which teach you how to rag.
Absolutely.
Question number 5 to you, Nitesh. The judiciary, many say, is not being totally receptive to this form of ragging. Of course, the Supreme Court has appointed the committee headed by Dr. Raghavan, but by and large, if you look at the subordinate judiciary, people believe that it can do a lot more.
Supreme Court has taken a very hard stand, and that of zero tolerance. So only 5 states have actually enacted anti-ragging legislations, but even then, as per the zero tolerance concept, every single educational institution is duty bound to ensure that it prevents ragging, and most of these anti-squads and anti-ragging squads which are actually appointed are under the institution. So like how Sir has said, they try to more or less to botch up the entire issue as such.
Question number 6. When it comes to ragging, people say, you know, the perpetrators say we just did it for a lark, we did it for fun. So do you believe the focus now should be on intention or impact?
It should be on both intention and impact. What do you call a group of people who pounce on an innocent victim and beat him to death? What is that, intention or impact? It's both intention and impact.
Okay. Question number 7 to you, Nitesh. Professor Kachru, in fact, Professor Raj Kachru, Aman Kachru's father said that the solution lies in having an anti-ragging website, which should be mandatory, and every time a student enrolls in college, he should be given like a unique identification number, like a PNR. So every time there's a case of ragging reported, the world gets to know about it.
Okay. My point, yes, I'm not saying I would not deny that. Yes, that would definitely help. But my point is there have been numerous committees which have been formed. Supreme Court judgments has come even in 2001, way before. But there has been committees, but the number of ragging cases have always been increased. What actually needs to be done? There needs to be a change in the society as to how we look at ragging. Especially this case, Aman Kachu, if Professor Kachu, his father, wanted to actually solve this menace, when 1 week back, when he actually called up his father to say that I am suffering here, he should have taken preventive measures to actually prevent this issue from actually happening,
right,
rather than going the other way around.
Anti-ragging squads, whether they function the way they should or not, do you believe that there is some deterrence, at least in colleges, because of these squads?
Absolutely. And I think the main task of these anti-ragging squads is to make ragging uncool. It is so cool to indulge in ragging today. But I think that's the first thing that should be thrown out of the window. Make ragging uncool. It is extremely humiliating to the person who's being subjected to ragging.
All right. Question number 9 to you, Nitesh. One of the recommendations is to entertain complaints from third parties also. So don't you feel that this is certainly not sweeping it under the carpet, because even third parties can complain? Those who witnessed incidents of ragging unconnected in any sense can actually bring this to the notice of the authorities.
Yes, again, this initiative is purely done to ensure that the number of ragging cases come down. Okay, so you get more or less more people into it. That's exactly how I already stated before. The institution themselves can carry out anonymous searches, and they, from information from the freshers, if they get information that yes, certain people are committing ragging and there are certain perpetrators, if they have information about the perpetrators, they can initiate actions on their own. Right. So let that be done first.
Final question, question number 10 to Ramya. Do you think that the fear of khaki on campus, when college principals can file an FIR, as Dr. Raghavan told us, if they deem it fit, the fear of khaki on campus is an effective deterrent today? Earlier, police would think 10 times before entering a college.
True, that's true, but we are talking about prevention. We're talking about ragging not happening. We're not talking about, you know, an incident occurring and then the police marching in. We're talking about prevention here, primary prevention. Prevent ragging, especially of such heinous crimes from occurring on campus.
I would just like to make one small point before that. In the United States of America, they follow the system. There is a sergeant appointed in the campuses to prevent ragging. So I personally feel that yes, khaki should be there, ensure that they take up complaints and act suo moto against against the perpetrators.
All right, on that suggestion to have perhaps a police outpost in certain colleges, yes. It's time to slide into a short break on SL Chennai Speaks Out Season 2. When we come back, we'll have our third round, which is bowl out, where both the teams actually go for each other's jugular. Stay tuned.